So, Alecia Moore, I am so excited to talk with you today. Thank you. And
Absolutely.
in a minute I've got your wines here, and in a minute we're going to talk about Two Wolves. I'm already a fan of this incredible Semillon. But
Thank you.
yeah, but I want to start out by asking you, kind of the big question, which is why is wine important?
Mhm. I've been thinking about this so much lately, especially with sort of the state of the wine business and where people's tastes are headed. Uh, I mean, I know why wine is important to me and why it became important to me. I also have an idea of why it's more important now.
Mm.
Um, when I found wine, it was very, very easy. I was stuck inside all the time at venues performing, which have no windows. You're inside all the time. You're in a hotel, and then you go to the venue. And on days off, we want to be in nature, we want to be outside, and we want to have a good time. So we would just start traveling all over the world to vineyards. And that's where we would spend our days off because we would be around amazing people. I find wine growers and winemakers and farmers to be some of the most passionate, fun hangs. And also, you get to drink wine. And that's sort of, and then I became obsessed. I became sort of into this whole story of nature, and it made me wake up and pay attention to the seasons and to food and to, I'm a student. I'm a high school dropout, but wine made me a student again.
Mm, mm,
And
mhm.
I was thinking about fast forward to 2025, like why now? Why does wine matter now? And I think when you compare it to the other beverages that are in the world, like ciders and kombucha and craft beer and cannabis infused this and seltzers and all these things, it's like, why does wine stand out even more? And I think it's because you can't go to Coors Light and meet the person that put that juice in that can, right? You can't, you
Beautifully said.
for the most part, you can't go to the place where that was bottled and hear a really cool story from one or two or three really hardworking people that devoted their life to working with Mother Nature to get that thing in a can, right?
Mm.
With wine, it always comes back to the story. It always comes back to it's high risk, low reward, but it's magic. You're bottling magic, and there's a story, and it makes you think about, you know, what are you going to eat with it? And who are you going to invite to the table? And whereas you might pick up a six pack on the way to a barbecue, it's almost like escapism versus connection, right? You
Mm.
go to these other things for escapism. You just want to have something cold and delicious and go to a barbecue and maybe not talk about your feelings. Whereas wine is like, I'm looking for something deeper. I crave connection. I want to bring people together, and I want the real answer to how are you? And
Yeah.
I think that's wine to me. Long answer, but that's kind of where my heart and head goes.
Yeah. And when I think of wine, I also think that it has this hard to articulate emotional value. And in that, by the way, it reminds me of music, right? Which has enormous emotional value. In fact, I mean, I think of wine as kind of the silent music of nature,
I
and
agree.
that it's incredibly emotional. You don't have to do much except be with someone else and taste some wine, and somehow your senses, it is like music in this, your senses are so tapped into. It's like a straight vein in, or I don't know. Does that make sense to
It
you?
makes perfect sense. And there's also wine runs the gamut, right? You've got your get the party started wines, and you've also got your Jeff Buckley hallelujahs. But just like any good song, you kind of have to be in the right place to accept it, right? If you're gonna, I mean, you're not gonna be at a party listening to Hallelujah. You're gonna sit and contemplate and dive in. And that's the difference, I think, between, like, not to be cheesy, but we have a Carbonic Graciano that's meant to be drunk chilled during the day, drink it young, have a good time, take it to a barbecue. And then there's our Cab Franc, which is a really deep, ethereal, um, mysterious, sexy beast. So it is like music, and it does tap into emotion, and it does play with your senses and resonates in different ways. And it's also, music is captured at a certain time in a certain place at that artist's certain age, those musicians certain whatever they ate for food or argued with their spouses, that was captured, but it's the listener's place that changes while they take in that situation. Wine is different. Wine is a living thing. It's continuing to live inside the bottle. It's continuing to change, and the vines change. So you might buy, let's say, let's call silver oak out. Let's say you might buy a silver oak in 2021. It's going to be made the same way, but in 2022 it's going to be a completely different thing. And you have to be paying attention to that. And it's interesting.
Yeah. It's also the only art form that, in a sense, you destroy when you appreciate it,
Yeah.
right? That bottle of whatever, 2015 Graciano, let's say, that you made, once it's gone forever, it's gone forever. You can't look it up in a library. You can't read it again. You can't look at a picture again. You can't put, can't put headphones on and listen to the music again. And that etherealness, I think, makes it, in a way, all the more treasurable, if that's a
I
word.
agree. And I
Yeah.
think that's why also it makes you pay attention, right? We're constantly making memories, and hopefully they're good ones. But I mean, think about that one experience you had, whether it was a dinner with a certain someone or a date or just these sort of timestamps that stamp their way into your mind. If you're paying attention, wine will do that same thing. Like I keep all my favorite bottles. I'm going to show you our like
There you go.
all my favorite bottles.
Awesome.
I've written on them where I was, what I was doing, who I was with. Like hand me one pretty please that is written on. Like, what's that one say? Oh, this is a Loire. She's one of my heroes.
Oh, yes.
Um,
La
we drove
Louise
December
Loire.
4th in 2018, packing our first sold out shipment of Petit Verdot with Renee and Allison. And
Oh,
the wine that we decided to open. I mean,
awesome.
and it's a 2011, and I remember that day. I remember that.
And when people say, by the way, oh, this wine is, so expensive, I think to myself, what is a memory like that worth?
Hmm.
You're going to have that memory forever. Is that worth a hundred
Grapes are
dollars?
expensive, but there's also fantastic wine that's not expensive.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
where I happen to live and make wine, I'm in one of the coolest valleys and wine regions in the world, which has the most female winemakers. And most of the people here are making really affordable, fantastic wine.
Yeah.
And even in Napa, right? There's the Silver Oaks and the Opus Ones, and then there's the Mathiasins and all these incredible, less expensive but more interesting wines. And I think another cool, and I know that's a judgmental thing to say, but I own it. Um, Another cool thing that I love about people and human nature is stories behind us, right? Like, where did you come from? What was your childhood like?
Mm.
What is your favorite scent and why? And, what was the most memorable heartbreak you've ever endured? And I think that wine, you give someone a bottle and you give them that story of the person and place and how and why. And then they get to take that to a dinner party or to a get together with their friends. And they get to stand up and own that story and share that story. And it's interesting and it's something to talk about. And you're all sharing it together. And I think
Yep.
it just opens up a really beautiful, intimate connection. And it's really fun to watch people own someone's story and then share it.
And you can watch them almost open up. It's astounding. I was thinking this morning about about your vineyard, where I haven't been, but I love Santa Barbara, just like you. I loved writing about it. And I was thinking about the difference between really loving a wine, appreciating it, appreciating the hard work, and then going into the business, which is what you've done. And going into the business means you have to do more than love in a way. You really have to care for this, right? A vineyard is like 1,000 little children. It needs you all the time. So I'm wondering how you made that switch into caring, because you got to care a lot now when you own a winery, when you own a brand, and especially when you own a vineyard.
I think some of the coolest decisions I've made are the ones where I don't actually have any idea what I'm doing. Because sometimes if you know
The
too
plug for that.
much, you won't do it. But I fell in love. Honestly, it was my second dream. Call it third if somehow having a family, a happy family was my second dream. I just fell down this rabbit hole and I became a student and I wanted to raise my kids in on a farm, on an organic farm specifically. And I'm very lucky to be able to even say those words. It still is sort of ridiculous to hear myself say something like that, that I have that choice, but it is a lot of work. And just like anything else in life, parenting, adulting, you have to put all of your heart into it. And it's been amazing. The place that I found, I really feel like the universe, I really feel like we're all manifestors and if we put our whole heart into that search, the universe opens up for us. In some way, maybe not all the way. We have to do the work too. But I showed up and I met my vineyard manager. I had no idea what I was getting my hands into or what I had received as the steward of this land. And I just said, how can we love this place so much?
Mm.
Bring it into its fullest potential. And also, do you know any female winemakers that are moms that I could contact to help me in said learning? And
So, so do you think that women winemakers bring a kind of different energy to the process? They
I
come
do.
up with different ideas?
I do. I think women bring a different energy in general in every process. And I know phenomenal men, right? Feminism is not thinking that women are better or and men suck. It's just that, I mean, we are better. I'm just kidding. We are more sensitive. No, I wouldn't say that actually. Now that I'm raising a son, I would not say that women are more sensitive. We just know what to do with it and where
Mm,
to put it and how to channel it because we are forced and allowed to figure that out, if that makes sense.
yeah.
I think that we are of the earth, we are moon women. I think that just like the moon changes the tide, it changes our emotional centers. I think that we have to, because of our roles, we have to pay more attention. We have to be more open to detail, and we have to be multitaskers. And raising a vineyard and children are those things. Um,
Indeed
so
they are.
yeah, it all worked hand in hand. And I met Allison Thompson, who is one of the loves of my life, and she is also a mom of two. And the reason I wanted to work with a woman is because A, it's really hard to get into the wine business. It's harder, I would say,
Mhm.
get into this business as a woman. And also, I wanted another mom so that I could come to work and cry and she would be fine with it. It was a especially hard day. And it's been an amazing decade, over a decade, 11 years for us. And it's been a really intentional, slow thing, right? So I didn't want to put wine out because I didn't want to be judged. I didn't want to be a celebrity wine brand. I
Mhm.
didn't want to I didn't want people to think that I would ever do anything with less than 100% integrity. So I wanted to just make wine, learn the wine, drink the wine. And it was when our basic cold storage started filling up that Allison was like, "We should put
Think
this
about
out."
this. Yeah.
And I was like, "No, that's ridiculous. Let's just get another storage unit." And then she kind of forced the hand in 2015, and she was like, "But it's really good, and you're doing it, so don't feel embarrassed or apologetic. It's not your fault. You're good at more than one thing." And so we put it out, and what I've learned over the last 10 years is it's important to be intentional in every aspect of your life and to have that intentional conversation with yourself be ongoing. And um, we've been able to, the same way that I felt kind of reticent and hesitant about being a celebrity and putting out a wine, it's actually made it really cool when I stopped apologizing for it and owning it.
Mhm.
We've got so many people that already are with me, that have already been on this journey with me in this music journey that we've been doing, that are new wine buyers, that are new wine drinkers, and they get a person that's not condescending and is also a student and loves that part about it to bring them along and be like, dude, this is what you should get. This is what you should be thinking about. And then go. Even if it's not our wine, just like, this is what pruning looks like. We're bottling today. And everyone's just super stoked about it. And I love that part.
I wish we could, I wish I knew how to turn more people into wine drinkers too. Because on the one hand, you feel like, oh my God, I'm on top of the best kept secret here. I want everybody to have this experience. And the only way I can think of is by kind of revealing your passion, right? People watch you, they listen to you, they hear that this is something that you really love. And I think that's it's kind of like when Harry met Sally, I'll have what she's having, you know? It's
Mhm.
addictive to listen to someone with passion.
It is.
Unless you have some better ideas, how else can we do it?
I don't know. And I've kind of read some articles about people sort of pontificating this matter. Some people think that young potential wine buyers have been alienated, um, that it was all too serious, that the older generation aren't passing it down the same way that we do as women, as storytellers, right? Like, in the old way. I think it's just, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I wish I did, but making it more accessible and interesting and just getting the story across. I just wish there was an easier way for everyone to get their story across,
Yeah, yeah.
because the wine growers of the world have really interesting stories. And when you go, it is one of the only places you could actually go to and be like, hey, I bought this wine. Tell me about it. I loved it. Where did you grow it? I want to meet that vine. I want to break bread and figure out what you would cook with this.
Right.
And you can touch the people. So I don't know. I always think Top Chef made chefs the new rock stars. I wish there was a way to, I wish wine was easier that way. But I don't really know the answer to that question. I think it's going to be a pendulum, honestly, because it's been
Mhm.
8,000 years. I think it's going to be a pendulum when everyone is tired of being high and drinking
Right.
sudsy things. I think that the ritual of it will come back
Mhm.
through. I think that more and more as we disconnect from each other, our souls are gonna be hungry for connection. And
Mm.
as people find that experience through wine and wine stories, I hope that that comes back around because it is really unique.
Yeah. Wine has been holding on to and delivering that experience, that entity, that ability to share a story for 8,000 years. And I don't think that goes away uh, in a few years or possibly even in a generation. I'm pretty high on the future of wine too.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about, though, I was thinking about your um, your sense of authenticity, about what authenticity is in in wine and in in music too, because it seems to me, just even reading your fabulous website, it seems to me like you're reaching for something true, something authentic.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, authenticity to me is just showing up and being curious and having a certain amount of courage to no longer work on the masks or the walls that we feel we have to create to survive. That's authenticity. When you get to a certain point where you trust yourself enough, then you can show up as you really are and let the pieces fall where they may.
Mm,
A really terrifying but beautiful experience. I think where it relates to wine and wine growing is trusting Mother Nature enough and being humble to show up, but as a witness and not
mm,
as the person in control. You
mm,
show up as a witness, and you have to be a student, right? Like I heard somebody, I think it was Salika Jawad say recently, she was given advice once that said, live every day as if it's your last. She said, that's terrible advice. I want to live every day as if it's my first.
mm,
And I think that's much more interesting to approach life with beginner's eyes. And I think that's what's so interesting about Two Wolves Project is that two women came together, one who knew nothing and another who was UC Davis graduate and just a plant scientist, a genius woman. And these two women came together and one said, here's why, and the other said, why not? And then they both decided to be curious. And so that's why we have single varietal wines, because that wine, that grape is from that block and it's from that soil and it wants to speak on its own.
right.
And we only do one blend, and that's because I wanted to learn as a beginner, what is this varietal? What is this soil? What is this? What is this? And then as I tasted it and learned it, I said, "Oh, I like this is its own thing."
Mm,
And that's sort of the Two Wolves ethos, which is let let whatever it is speak for itself.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you, this Semillon, thank you for sending it to me.
Fantastic segue. You're a professional.
Look, here it is. Okay, show and tell. Here it is. Um, I when I tasted this, I thought, okay, Semillon, a kind of a rare grape in the US, not in places like Australia or Bordeaux. Australia in particular, killer Semillon. I so love that wine. Um, so you almost have to come to this wine with a an open mind, an open heart, because you really don't know what it's going to taste like. It's delicious, by the way.
Ah, I love Semillon. I spent a lot of time in Australia, so Semillon was not um, mysterious to me. But what was here was, we didn't set out to make an orange wine. This is skin contact Semillon. And this is 29 to 32 days on the skins, which should theoretically produce an orange wine. But our Semillon is, I guess I always joke and say it's the closest thing to Riesling I'm ever going to make in a warm,
Yeah.
because we're a warm climate and we're making some cool climate wines. And that's because of our mountains here, transverse mountains, and you've got that maritime influence that comes in. Every morning I wake up in a cloud. It's the diurnal temperature
In a
swing is
real cloud.
in a real cloud. I mean, I wake up in a cloud. You can't see your hand this far in front of your face. And it can be 110 during the day and 36 at night. It's a huge swing. And that allows us to sort of have this
Mm,
magic, warm, ripening climate with these cool climate attributes. And so skin contact Semillon, it's phenolic, it's savory, but
mm.
it's also elegant and acidic and balanced and alive. One thing about all of our wines, the through thread is that there's an aliveness, there's an energy to all of them. They are alive. You can feel it, you can sense it, you can smell it, taste it. The Semillon is fun because it's very elegant. Nobody knows what to think of it, and they're wondering why it's not orange. But it's super phenolic, and I love Riesling. And you almost get that sort of petrol.
Yeah.
It's like I love Riesling.
Yeah, me too.
Now, Semillon is one of my favorite wines that we make because
Well,
it's
it
funky in the best elegant way.
yeah. Well, Simeon, yeah, I've been thinking a lot lately about the difference between acidity and freshness. And freshness, and the reason those are even important concepts to think about is because, as you say, it's where energy comes from in part. God knows where most energy in wine comes from. But I agree with you, man. You can tell a dead wine from like 100 paces away.
Yeah.
And alive wines have a kind of lit from within quality that is that alone is addictive to me. I'm like, I just want to watch the energy.
So searching for it. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
watch it move, right?
I used to think it was temperature driven, but it's not. I mean, nobody wants to drink a warm red wine, but it's actually it's a kinetic energy that was bottled. And it also, I guess, depends on when you drink it, right? I mean, I've had fantastic wines that should never go past anything. And I'm like, I missed it. I feel like by about 4 years. Bummer.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, the Semillon makes me happy. Semillon is surprising to people too because they really don't know what to make of it, and then they taste it. And I've also done like the black glasses at campouts at night
Yeah.
where it's not as cold as it should be, and people are like, "This is like, what is this? Is this like a chilled Cab Franc?" I'm like, "You have no idea. You have
Yeah.
no idea what you're drinking. You can't tell because it's savory and phenolic and fun. It's a fun wine."
Yeah. So is this Graciano, by the way. That whole category of, I think of this as so Italian, chillable reds,
Yeah.
right? Um, yeah, that is a little bit of, it reminds me of something that is drives us all crazy, which is thinking that there are rules to anything. There are not rules to anything. So yes, you can chill reds, and some varieties, it just pops their energy up a little bit more. And it felt like that's what happened here.
This is like so it's carbonic Graciano. And the reason is another cool story is we didn't know we had Graciano. I don't think anyone in this valley knew that they had Graciano. We all thought we had Mourvèdre for our GSM programs. I didn't have a program back then. So when we all found out it was Graciano, I thought it was hilarious. Many people did not because they were trying to figure out who was getting sued for selling to the
Yeah.
public a different grape. Apparently, Monastrey and Morastrey got lost in translation, and everyone that thought they had Mourvèdre had Graciano. And it was one winemaker who was fermenting the Graciano and was like, it doesn't ferment like Mourvèdre. It doesn't grow like Mourvèdre. It doesn't smell like Mourvèdre. It doesn't taste like. And then he sent it in, and it turns out we all had Graciano. So I looked at Alice and I was like, have you ever heard Graciano? She's like, mm-mm. And we kind of did our research, and it's a beast of a grape. Graciano is a tannic monster. And so I'm like, great. We decided we'll do 100% whole cluster, and then we'll do on the other end of the spectrum carbonic, just to see if we should have landed somewhere in between. And we tasted the 100% whole cluster, and I thought I was going to go blind and never be able to drink wine again. And we tasted the carbonic Graciano, which is this, and it tasted like biting into a cherry pop rock. It's like biting into a crunchy berry.
Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for helping tell wine's incredible stories, including your own. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.